In addition to the programmatic concepts introduced in the Framework Concepts movie, it will also be important to look at some other key elements when deciding which framework to use. This includes things such as licensing, the weight of the framework, documentation, community support, complexity, and performance. All these are key considerations when you're determining which framework to use for your application. Some frameworks are very lightweight and provide a basic structure for you to follow, but most of the coding is up to you. In other frameworks like Symfony, you have a lot of tools, but all of your application development is tightly tied to that framework, and it may also be limited by the limitations of the framework itself, including performance and possibly features and more. Which license you choose can make a difference. There are a few different license agreements that these open source projects can use. Some of these licenses are extremely flexible and allow you to do what you like in your commercial applications. However, others require you to do things like open your own source up for other developers. So make sure you choose the right license for your project. The documentation for a framework can make all the difference for getting up and running. Make sure to take a look at the framework's docs for whichever one you're interested in and see if they make sense and are comprehensive to you. Community support is a huge factor in determining which framework to use. While most of the frameworks discussed in this course are very active, it's important to look and see if you can get your question answered from a Google group or if you can find more information from a chat or a wiki. Popularity can be a key determination. How many people are using a framework? While in many ways this is very difficult to determine, one way to find out is to look at Google Trends. What you'll see here is the result of searches that have happened at Google based on the different frameworks. You can see here that Zend appears to be the most popular and the other three are a little bit lower on the scale. However, that could be due to other search terms, so take this kind of result with a grain of salt. No survey method is going to have complete accuracy, but this can give you a general idea of what's going on out there in the community. Complexity is another factor to consider. Some frameworks have a quicker learning curve, while others require a higher level understanding, both in terms of understanding the PHP language itself and object-oriented programming, but also in terms of understanding constructs within the framework. Make sure not to get in over your head, and also make sure not to choose an easier one that lacks features that you need or want. Scalability or performance are other key factors to consider when determining a framework. How an application will scale as usage increases can be extremely important. If you're building a personal blog for a small audience, this may matter less than if you're building an enterprise application, but be sure to understand what the restrictions are. There are a number of non-programmatic considerations when choosing a framework. These can have wide-ranging effects depending on the type of application you're building. Make sure to weigh all these items, including licensing, documentation, complexity, and performance, when you're choosing your framework. Now that we have an understanding of what to look for, let's compare the frameworks we'll be looking at in this course.